This video is going to be a pork chop update. Now, when I got Porkchop 3 months ago, the concept of butchering her seems so far away, but now it's becoming a reality. What you see behind me here, this is the last of Porkchop's food supply. The gentleman that we bought her from said that she's going to eat 1,000 pounds of food before she's ready to be butchered. And what you see behind me is 800, 900, and 1,000. So this experiment's becoming so much more real because at her current food consumption rate, I figured that this food's going to be gone in about 30 days. A lot of people have joined my channel since October when I bought Porkchop, so I will give you a quick background story of what my plans were with her. I originally purchased her for $40 back in October, and my goal was to become more self-sufficient by raising my own meat. I was going to buy the pig and then raise her, give her the food, and then we would eventually butcher her and then eat the meat throughout the next year. But a bigger goal of mine, not only to get the meat and become self-sufficient, was also to learn whether I felt that it was right to eat meat. I wanted to know where the meat came from and the real animal that was there, and I found that out very quickly when I started raising Porkchop and realized, this is an animal with a personality. This is real. I mean, when you go to the grocery store and buy that package of meat, that was her. That was an animal. I mean, I know a lot of them don't have the life that Porkchop has. A lot of them don't ever see daylight. So I thought, this is an honorable thing to do. I'm going to be raising an animal in good conditions, giving her a good life, and then eventually, unfortunately, taking that life and turning her into something that would sustain my family. The second part of the story is to cut my costs. I took on a partner. The guy I work with, his name's Steve, he was interested in also doing the same thing I'm doing. So we came up with an agreement that he would pick the pig up and he delivered her to me, and we would split the food cost. Now, to even make the deal better, Steve lives in an area where there's a lot of Amish people, and he was able to get the food cheap, way cheaper than I would be able to get it. So we decided that he would pick up the food and we would split the cost of it. For example, a 50-pound bag of food for me, buying it at a feed store would cost me about $15. He's able to get 100 pounds of food for about $16 or $17. So it becomes that much of a better deal, especially when I'm splitting the food. So I'm only paying about $8 per 100 pounds of food as opposed to paying $15 for 50 pounds of food. So it became economically feasible for me to raise this pig, and our agreement then would be once the food was gone, which it's coming up, we would butcher the pig and we would split the meat from it. I apologize if you can hear some equipment running behind me. When you live next to a farmer, it just becomes a regular part of your day. But I'll continue with my story. Now, when I got the pig, everyone that I talked to, everyone that knows me basically told me that I'm not going to be able to do this. They said I'm going to get attached. My dad said that the pig's going to live with us and die of old age. And I tried to disagree with people. I said I'm going to look at this as an objective experiment and something to determine what my future is with consuming meat. And as you've seen, if you've watched my playlist of videos on here, that wasn't the reality. It quickly became that Porkchop wasn't a thing but a real animal, and I got attached to her very easily. It's hard not to. You've seen how cute she is. So I'm at the point now where I basically have three options. My first option is to keep Porkchop and raise her as a pet. That's my ideal choice, but the only problem with that is that food behind me is very expensive, and right now she's eating about 100 pounds every 7 to 10 days, and I imagine that's going to continue to go up as time goes by. When I lose my partner on this deal, if I were to keep the pig, obviously I'd have to buy him out on this and pay him back for what he put into it, and obviously he's not going to get any meat from this, which is going to make him unhappy. But I would keep the pig, raise her as my pet, keep her forever. But the problem is, like I said, the food, it's gonna start costing me a lot of money. If I'm buying 50-pound bags for $15, which is what they're going for around here at the feed stores, I'm gonna be putting about $30 a week of food into Porkchop, and each month that's $120, which is a little bit more than what I can afford to spend to keep an animal. Option 2 is the middle ground. This would be where I sell Porkchop. I don't know how I would do it. Maybe put her on Craigslist and list her for what I have into her, but there's a good chance that if I do sell her, the person that buys her is probably just going to end up butchering her and eating her anyway. And with this particular route, there's no way that I can come out of this in the black. I'm going to lose money really bad on this. Right now, at this moment right now, I probably have about between $120 and $150 into Porkchop. And then when we get her butchered, that's going to be another at least $125, which we're going to split, of course. So I'm going to be about $200 into this, plus my partner's share, because he paid for half of the food that I would need to buy him out, and then obviously pay him for his time in picking up the food, getting the pig, organizing all this. So it's going to be a losing proposition where neither of us really come out ahead, and it's definitely detrimental to Steve, who I'm working with on this, because he's not going to get the meat like we originally agreed upon. So that plan there, I think, is probably not going to work. The third option and final option would be to continue with my original plan, which would be to feed Porkchop the rest of the food that we have there, and then have her butchered, and then I give half the meat to Steve, my partner, and I take the other half, and I'll probably give a lot of it away to my family. I don't know if I could even eat the meat, to be honest with you. It may almost be wasteful to do that. I've already talked to my parents, and they will not eat the meat. So I end up with the meat, and my opinion on this whole meat eating thing has really changed. I don't know how. I honestly do know how I feel about it, and I won't say that I'll never eat a hamburger again, or I'll never eat chicken or pork, but it's definitely something that you have to think twice about. This is such a real experiment that I've done here, but the experiment that I want to do and broadcast to you, this is my experience with this, and hopefully someday someone that's watching these videos, I have them all in a playlist, they're thinking about getting a pig, they can watch from beginning to end. I mean, this isn't the end now, but they're going to watch this and see my experience in raising Porkchop and maybe make a different decision. I know if I could go back right now, I probably wouldn't have even purchased the pig, because what this has come into isn't something that I really want to experience. But in the end, maybe I'm going to learn something, and a lot of other people will too. So let me know what you think the best option is, and I'll have another video up here soon. So thanks for watching. There's one last thing I want to say before I go. I don't want this video to discourage people from raising their own animals for meat. I truly believe in my heart that it is more honorable to give an animal a good life, just like I'm doing with Porkchop out there, and to know where your food's coming from, know there's no hormones in it, know there's no antibiotics, know that she wasn't raised in a 2-foot square pen with nowhere to move, standing in her own crap and getting sick and just getting injected with stuff. I feel like this is honestly the best way to go if you're going to eat meat. I just don't think I'm a good candidate to raise an animal for meat. I could raise animals as pets all day, but when it comes down to it, I just don't have it in me to do this. You may be completely different. If you can look at this as what it truly is, more power to you. I think this is what you should do, but I can't. So I just want to say that so people don't get the wrong idea that this isn't worth it, because it could be for you. It's just not for me.